It's been a crazy last 24 hours, friends. I want to bring you up to speed on what's going on out there. We got the Kamala Harris interview summary, so you don't have to watch it, but it was as much of a train wreck as you'd imagine it would be. Americans sentenced to being terminated in the Congo. No efforts at all, apparently, to get them out. We have Brazil and their war on free speech. We have Ukraine. We got Big Lots. We got Telegram. We got the Pope. We got Kenyan troops in U.S. tanks in Haiti that we need to talk about. We got, and by the way, Ukraine shot down an American plane with an American missile. Should we keep giving them stuff? I don't know. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And these are news items that you are probably not going to see in the mainstream media out there. And we want to make sure that we get this stuff out to you, just the information, and you can decide what to do with it. Let's start off in the Congo. The 3 Americans have been sentenced to death in the Democratic Republic of Congo for an attempted coup. Now, the attempted coup apparently did happen, but it is important to note that this country is neither democratic nor republic, but it is the Congo. And if you're familiar out there, the Congo is a failed state. It is not, most of it is not really actually under anyone's control, just different warlords claiming different areas. So these Americans apparently went in, according to their admission, according to their defenses, they went under false pretenses. A few of them were brought in as to do security work. At least one of them was tricked into thinking he was going to South Africa for a vacation, and it somehow ended up in the Congo. And they found themselves in the middle of this coup. But some of them have actually participated with the government in revealing. They've confessed and they've shared names. They've shared information. They were supposed to get a plea deal for that, but then they decided instead to just, everyone even remotely connected to this, all needs to be done. So, obviously the U.S. State Department U.S. State Department is not involved in any way, shape, or form. President Biden has chosen to extend his 9-day vacation at the beach. So, that's apparently where the priorities are there. Staying out of sight and not falling over, or staying on something soft so that if he falls over, it doesn't injure him. This is supposed to happen in the next few days, and apparently no efforts to make sure they got a fair trial or anything like that happening out there. Okay, let's go over to Kamala Harris's first interview of her campaign. Yeah, she finally actually sat down with a journalist. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well, friends. It's over a month later and into her campaign, finally sitting down with journalists, and she had her vice presidential candidate Waltz there as an emotional support person, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he was supposed to step in and mansplain some things in case she got herself into trouble with her word salads. She repeatedly read off of her notes, which in an interview and you're reading your notes, talk about a bad vibe. She was clearly given the questions ahead of time. It was supposed to be edited down to 1 hour, but there was so much garbage in there, apparently they edited it down to 18 minutes. They had to toss so much of the interview. And this is what was left. They refused to share the transcript. So the transcript of the whole thing, they won't release that, even though that's awesome. Also customary. Just kind of the stuff that remained. Well, let's just say it was horrifyingly hilarious. It was funny, but you want to cry. It's hard to understand how anyone could support making her president. It just to give this comparison. So she did an 18-minute interview with heavy editing. The last couple of Trump interviews have been Dr. Phil, 57 minutes. Theo Von, another 57 minutes. Elon Musk for 2 hours. And with Sean Ryan, 1 hour and 11 minutes. No notes. No no emotional support vice president candidates. This is looking pretty bad, friends. It's just pretty awful. Here are a couple quotes out of that thing to give you a flavor of it without making you watch the awful thing. So she managed to say in the interview somehow that she would not ban fracking and that she will ban fracking in the same interview. So that's the level of consistency that I've come to expect from a Democratic president. Anyway, asked if she had any regrets for lying to the American people about Biden's cognitive decline. Now, they didn't word it quite that way, but that's what it was. Nope. She said, no, not at all. No regrets saying all the stuff that she said about... Anyway, she was asked about her previous pledge to decriminalize border crossings. She refused to say whether it would be illegal or illegal under her administration, that's kind of a big deal, isn't it? Like, that's kind of a big deal. When asked what she would do day one, she replied, we're going to do what we can to help the middle class. No policies, no specifics, no like, these are the executive orders we're going to do, and this is what we're going to get Congress on. Nope, we're going to do what we can to help the middle class. She was asked again because that was a non-answer, and she still refused to give an answer. She said, I believe the American people deserve a new way forward and turn the page on the last decade. To which, of course, she was asked, wait a minute, like, in this past decade, haven't the last 3 years been like your administration? Yeah, that's basically kind of how the whole interview went. It was absolutely disastrous. Absolutely, when Walz was confronted about saying that he carried a weapon in a war zone, he said, sometimes my grammar is not correct. That was his response to that. Ugh. Okay, aren't you glad you didn't have to watch that now? Hopefully you didn't have to watch that. You can go look up the quotes on the internets if you want to beyond that. Anyway, onwards to Brazil. Brazil has declared war on Elon Musk. First was trying to force Twitter to censor, or X, censor certain politicians and citizens from Brazil. So the opposition party in Brazil was supposed to have their political accounts blocked. Basically, if a Democratic president were to call up social media and say, I want you to start blocking these Republican accounts, these Republican congressmen, these Republican senators, maybe even these candidates for presidency. That's basically the equivalent of what has happened here in Brazil. When while Twitter tried to follow its normal policy of receiving the demands of the government, doing them, but also publicly releasing that we're doing this because the government is forcing us under penalty of kicking us out of the country. And so they started that way, but then apparently the demands got too insane that finally Elon Musk said, I don't care about how much money we lose. I don't care if we get kicked out of the country. This is unconscionable to do this. We won't do it. And ordered all the censorship removed off of the Brazilian Twitter. Supreme Court Justice Alexander ordered all Starlink bank accounts seized to pay the ridiculous fines. So basically they tried going after Twitter, and Twitter's like, well, then we're not going to let any of our personnel into your country. So they couldn't go after Twitter, so what did they do? They went after all of the Starlink. Now, X is a company over here. SpaceX is a totally separate company. Yes, Elon Musk is CEO of both of them, And yes, Elon Musk owns a big chunk. Well, he owns a big chunk of both of them. They're not the same company. And there are investors in these companies that are not related to each other and not related to these other endeavors. You can't do that. Like, that's absolutely insane. They're not seizing Elon Musk's property. They're seizing a separate... why don't they just start seizing all the McDonald's, you know? So Twitter apparently has hours before it will be blocked and quite possibly Starlink access. So they took all the bank accounts that people are paying into to receive their Starlink services. So they just decided to go basically full tyranny. Now, somehow, and this is telling, somehow Google, Facebook, and other social media platforms are operating fine in Brazil. Well, Steve, they must just be going after Elon Musk. No, it's just all these other Facebooks and everyone else decide to comply quietly with all of these demands. So you may be hard-pressed to find any opposition accounts on any of those services out there. What happens when you go to Google and you type in a political party's website? You expect to go to that political party's website, right? What happens if that political party's website just doesn't appear on Google? And you can't find those politicians on Facebook? Does that sound like the kind of world that anyone should live in? That is some dystopian type stuff going on right there. Hopefully Brazil gets its act together, but the fact that it is waging full war on any one of the political opposition there is smacking of whatever the opposite of democracy is. Tyranny, full tyranny. Ukraine, let's move over there. USA gave Ukraine Patriot missile systems to shoot down missiles and aircraft. And then we gave them F-16s. Now Ukraine has used a missile system to shoot down one of the F-16s we gave them. Not good. Not good. One of our missiles using to shoot down one of their missiles that we've given them, shooting down one of their planes. At least we know the missiles work. I don't know, friends. Continuing reports are coming out of the Kursk region that there are quite a few foreigners, non-Ukrainians, in the combat operations inside Russia. And there have been confirmations now from the Ukrainian government that U.S. JDAMs, Joint Direct Attack Munitions, or basically smart bombs, are being used inside Russia. They're dropping them from aircraft and everything like that. So, that's going on too. Over to the U.S. economy, Big Lots is considering bankruptcy. Now, we got Rite Aid already in bankruptcy. Dollar General just got pounded in the stock market yesterday for admitting how bad it is for the average working class Americans, that they don't have discretionary income, and so store sales are dropping. Now, we do see Walmart holding up fairly well because people are pivoting from other brands to the cheaper brands at Walmart to save money, but they're being pressured too. Telegram's CEO was released on bail. We've been covering that over in France. He was arrested when he arrived in France, probably doing a stop through or a connection. But he was arrested on the tarmac, and he has now been indicted and has been released on bail. He is not permitted to leave the country. But let's just say if you're a billionaire and you don't think you're going to get a fair trial, you might try to flee the country, but that's going to be a little harder. You can't just flee to Spain. You can't just flee to, Belgium or something like that. He's got to get out of the European Union somehow down to Africa or to Russia or something along those lines. So we'll see if he flees, but I would guess he's at least examining that option. If he can get to Russia, he may be able to hide there, or another country he may be able to get to. Speaking of Europe, the Pope has weighed in that it is now a, quote, grave sin for countries to reject others from other countries, even if they're not following the laws to get there. Of course, his country, the Vatican City, is considered a country, has a wall going all the way around it. And they forcibly remove and arrest and turn over those arrestees for deportation anyone who overstays their visit. Wow. Talk about hypocrisy. So the Pope literally is in charge of a country, and he literally does the exact opposite of what he is saying everyone else should do. It's so sad how liberal and how globalist the Pope has become. It's really, I mean, it's just a bureaucracy. It's another bureaucracy, and bureaucracies like other bureaucracies. It takes world wars. It takes massive economic and political shifts for bureaucracies to be torn down. And people, of course, that do the tearing down, they realize how bad it is to have that bureaucracy, and things get reset. We're due for a reset worldwide. All right, the United States is ramping up its financial support for the Kenyan military, stabilizing Haiti. Haiti, of course, has gone full failed state. Gangs roaming the streets, and people, regular citizens, rising up to do battle with the gangs to protect their own neighborhoods. Absolute chaos there. Gangs seizing the fuel supplies, the ports, the airports, all that kind of stuff. Extremely violent. Hard to get information out of Haiti right now because it's so stinking dangerous. But you can just imagine it is awful. No U.S. boots on the ground, but the UN has deployed forces. Basically, Kenyan military units have deployed to Haiti, and the United States is basically picking up the tab on that operation, equipping the Kenyan military with weapons, munitions, vehicles, all that kind of stuff, and also paying their wages. This is all coming from the United States budget. While I'm glad that the United States doesn't have boots on the ground, we are picking up the tab for this whole operation, and that is more money going overseas. This may actually be some of the better money that we've ever spent. I don't know. But we've just agreed to send 24 more MRAP armored vehicles to Haiti for the Kenyan military to use, and a whole bunch more cash, of course, because of course we're sending more cash. We have never met a place in the world that we didn't think needed more cash. The British thought there wasn't a place in the world that they didn't need to invade. Well, the United States has never found a place that didn't need to get more free money given to them. So that's basically the summation of things. We'll keep you updated on what happens next in all over the world. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.